This is Civics and Government Part 4. In the last part, we went through the first 10 amendments that were the Bill of Rights. I want to mention some other amendments that might show up on the exam. The 13th Amendment, which abolishes slavery. Um, Again, I'm using constitution.congress.gov. You don't want to, it's easier to remember what the amendments are about, than it is to come across them on the test and read them and interpret them. So that's why I go over them. And it's not all of them. So the 13th Amendment, might show up. That's the one that abolishes slavery. The 14th Amendment, which establishes citizenship, that one might show up. The 15th Amendment protects the voting rights of former slaves and persons of color. So that's another one that might show up on the exam. The 19th Amendment gave women the right to vote. That's another one that might show up on the exam. And then the 24th Amendment abolished poll taxes. Poll taxes were used to keep African Americans from voting, and they basically charged people to vote. That's what a poll tax was. And then the 26th Amendment, which lowered the voting age to 18. I think it was 21 before that, and then the 26th Amendment lowered it to age 18. So those are the other amendments that might show up on the exam. There are several other ones, but they don't show up. You're welcome to read them all. They're all on Constitution .congress.gov. Read the whole thing. As said in the Constitution, the U.S. government has different levels. It separates federal, which means national responsibilities. There we go. From state responsibilities. And that's called federalism. The states then can also delegate their responsibilities to counties or cities or towns as they see fit. The Constitution separates the federal government into three branches: the executive branch, the legislative branch, and the judicial branch. And I am using USA.gov for the branches of government. So the executive branch is the president and his advisors. They execute the government's policies. The president can only be elected for 2 4-year terms. And let's click on executive branch here. So it's the president, the vice president, and the president's cabinet. The president is the head of state, leader of the executive branch, and commander-in-chief of the United States Armed Forces. The vice president supports the president. If the president is unable to serve, the vice president becomes president. The vice president also presides over the U.S. Senate and breaks ties in Senate votes. And then the cabinet members serve as advisors to the president. They include the vice president and heads of executive departments. They are nominated by the president and must be approved by the Senate. That's the executive branch. We also have the legislative branch, which is made up of the two houses of Congress, the Senate and the House of Representatives. They draft and pass laws. Senators serve a 6-year term, and representatives serve a 2-year term. There are no limits to how many times they can be reelected. There are 2 senators for each state, and there are 50 states, which means there are 100 senators. The number of representatives a state has in the House of Representatives is based on the population of the state. Members of Congress are there to represent their constituents in their respective states. Constituents are the people who voted for them. And then the third branch of government is the judicial branch. It is made up of the Supreme Court and other federal judges. Federal judges are appointed by the president and confirmed by the Senate. They are appointed for life or until they quit. Federal judges make their decisions based on the U.S. Constitution. And again, if you would like to read more about this, you can go to usa.gov. The legislative branch drafts and proposed laws. They confirm or reject presidential nominations. They watch the budget, and they have the authority to declare war. That's the other thing that the legislative branch has. And then the judicial branch, they interpret the meaning of laws. They apply laws to individual cases, and they also decide if laws violate the Constitution. And we will stop there.